How close, Josh, do you think Tennessee was to hiring Bobby Petrino instead of Bullethead Jeremy Pruitt?
I don't
What
think very
part of
close.
that question do you find funny?
The last part. I don't think very close.
Well, okay, Caleb, you're the one who brought this up. I don't think he was very close either. How would you compare
They tried to hire some coaches that fans didn't want, but I don't think it was close to getting to be Petrino.
Caleb, so you brought this question up, and you're a big Petrino guy. So where
did you get that?
Why did you bring this up in the first place?
I love riding on motorcycles with Petrino, let me tell you. I'm just kidding. So this actually, the interesting part of this story, and Josh probably remembers this. Don't go to 2017 when Butch was fired. Go back to 2016 when Butch first got on the hot seat. After, I think the hot seat really exploded after his loss to South Carolina off the bye week. Everybody was talking about Bobby Petrino over everybody else when this talks of Butch Jones getting fired at that point happened. And the reason was Bobby Petrino was rolling at Louisville. Lamar Jackson was en route to a Heisman Trophy campaign season. And everybody highly believed in Bobby Petrino's offensive abilities. Now, 2017, Louisville took a major step back, and there was the baggage with Bobby Petrino, and I don't think he was that close to getting hired in 2017. But had he carried the momentum over that he had in 2016, yeah, I think Bobby Petrino would have been number one on Tennessee's list, baggage and all.
Boy, that would be, to me, the worst possible hire, because you're like Butch Jones. You just kind of keep them afloat. You're not ever competing for championships, and it drags on and on. That would be the worst case scenario. Well, Pruitt was a pretty bad.
Yeah, I think they found worst case scenario. I think that one hit. So, I know this is the hindsight 2020 part, but yeah, I think they got it right. If worst case scenario was the goal, without that whole thing unfold, unless they were really playing the long game to try to get Josh Heupel to come to Knoxville, then job well done. But yeah, Caleb's point might be right. I just don't recall him ever being a realistic name talked about. So that's why I said no, I don't think it was close. I don't remember him being somebody that was discussed as somebody that would be a real candidate for the Tennessee job. Dan Mullen was somebody that Tennessee really wanted. He ended up at Florida, of course, and we know about the Schiano attempt and then the names after that. But I don't recall Petrino being a strong candidate that Tennessee was going to pursue.
No, and on the message board, David says Pruitt looks like Moose from Night Court. Are you too young to remember Moose from Night Court, Josh?
Not at all. I remember Night Court and was I'm not a big fan, but I was a fairly regular viewer of, scrolling through. Would it pop up on Nick at Night at times? I don't recall the channels, but yeah, I saw Nick I saw Night Court a number of times.
Yeah, who was the public defender? What was her name?
I don't know. Wasn't that big of a fan.
She did good work. All right, well, Josh, at least with Pruitt, you had a good talent evaluator who left some talent for Josh Heupel, right?
That part is true. I've actually defended Pruitt recently on the radio a few times because Josh Heupel inherited a very difficult position. There's no denying that. I think everybody agrees. But I do think it's been overstated how bad the roster was, because there were a lot of NFL guys, and some of them had to be developed more, and the coaching staff that's on campus now deserves credit for that. But Darnell Wright was a major talent that was left behind. Cooper Mays, the starting center, how much have we talked about how important he is on the offensive line? His brother Cade was on the line for that first year taking over, and a bunch of other guys, Alontae Taylor, who was a standout player at corner, Velus Jones. That would be a really good example of the coaching staff getting more out of him in year one, and then Jalen Hyatt after that. But there was talent left behind for the coaching staff. They needed more. They still need more to go compete for championships, I think, in the SEC or to try to win a national title. But there were some players left behind that were brought in by Jeremy Pruitt.
Is there any coach in retrospect, that Tennessee was in conversations with when they hired Jeremy Pruitt that would have been a worse coach, again, with hindsight being 2020, than Jeremy Pruitt?
That would have been worse.
There's not one, is there?
Well, like Kevin Steele, I never understood any possible benefit there. I do think this though, if you're the head coach of Tennessee, you're going to recruit well enough where you're going to have some players. I think it's impossible to recruit poorly unless you take an approach like Derek Dooley did, where he decided we're not going to sign an offensive lineman in 2012. But Derek Dooley brought in talent overall. They always end up having some players. So knowing what was going on behind the scenes, the result of the 2020 season. But I mean, let's be honest, like the cheating part, that's not the big deal to me. It's how sloppy they were with the cheating, how easy it was to get caught, which actually ended up benefiting Tennessee. So I can't really come up with a worst case in terms of just where things were, the leadership, all that. Yeah.
I would argue they would have gone down the same path with Kevin Steele. And I don't know Kevin Steele as a person, but Josh, I would think that felt like a little bit Philip Fulmer trying to give John Chavis a head coaching job and Kevin Steele. And he would have had the same desperation not being a head coach to tempt himself to pay players.
Well, some of the stuff we hear about Pruitt away from the field when he had to be in that representative of UT role, and I just don't think he was comfortable with it. Kevin Steele would have understood all of that. He would have handled that well. Again, I think he would have recruited well enough. Maybe he would have said, Michael Penix will take you. Pruitt didn't do that. The one area where Pruitt just kept making mistakes was in quarterback evaluation. He recruited well, or he identified players at all other positions, but he screwed up quarterback recruiting, but brought in Hendon Hooker. Like I went over the names that he left behind. I skipped over Hendon. So that was a parting gift that he got Hendon to transfer to Tennessee. And again, Tennessee's coaching staff helped him go to an even higher level to be what he was at Tennessee. But the high school recruiting at quarterback from Jeremy Pruitt was as bad as I've seen.
All right. I'm going to let you out of here, Josh, but let me pull up a couple of quick names on the message board. You tell me if they would have been better off with this person or Pruitt. Let's start with Mike Gundy.
Better or worse than Pruitt?
Better, right?
Significantly better, yeah.
Okay. Kevin Sumlin on the message board. Better or worse than Pruitt?
On the field, probably. Well, they went 3-7. Better.
All right, better. And then lastly, the most important one, Marky Post. Would they have done better with Marky Post as a head coach from Night Court?
Push.
Thank you, Josh. Anything else you would like to add?
No, I think we're all going to be proven right on Saturday in our predictions about Tennessee winning by under 30 points, or this time next week, we'll be talking about how dumb we looked this past Saturday. But that's the point of the bold prediction column. So if you want to call me dumb for my first prediction, Dave and Caleb are on board with me. So you have to call them that too.
Yes, I was actually on board with all of them, kind of for different reasons, except for the 10-point ones. I thought you did a fantastic job, and I'm not just saying that. I thought that was really strong.
Yeah, thanks. Last one. This is actually an idea that I've been behind with different programs, Tennessee included. Coach from coach would have done great. I think if you went to Kyle Chandler and said, hey, we just want you to come in and play the role of Coach Taylor from Friday Night Lights, and then we'll hire good staff members to actually do the coaching, but you do the speeches and the inspiration and all that stuff. I think the staff would have recruited just fine. I think getting like Kyle Chandler to be Coach Taylor or coach college and pro, right? I think that would have been better than Jeremy Pruitt as the head coach.
The question
You're describing Ed Orgeron, by the way.
The question is, do you get Dauber?
You know, it's funny.
Dauber?
Yeah, Dauber. You got to have the right staff members. It's not a head coach is only as good as his staff a lot of the time. I think that's proven true. But the funny thing is that Orgeron won a title, but I made the joke about LSU. It's like, if you're going to hire Ed Orgeron, just go hire Kyle Chandler. That's, I think, the first time I remember making that joke. They won a title with Ed, but in hindsight, maybe they should have replaced him with Kyle Chandler. Kyle Chandler wouldn't have been doing the weird videos that Brian Kelly is doing right now.
Yeah. Josh always makes me laugh. He made me think with 5 bold predictions. It's on offthehooksports.com. Thank you, Josh. Noon to 3 on the Sports Animal. Follow him at Josh_Ward. great stuff. And I'm sorry about your Braves when they get knocked out of the playoffs.
It's inevitable at this point, so I appreciate the support.
Bryce Harper lives in Knoxville. Thank you, Josh.
Thanks.
He is Josh Ward. Caleb, when I look at the Jeremy Pruitt hire, it's so, and it feels like the Kevin Steele hire. It feels like not just a hire of desperation, but a hire of hope, because Philip Fulmer saw John Chavis want to be a head coach and never could do that. And it was almost like, come on, Kevin or Jeremy or whoever that guy may be that wants that head coaching job. I can make this happen for you, which is not the way you hire coaches.
Not at all. Well, there was also this. I think, look, every other candidate that was on that list were high-profile candidates before Fulmer was athletic director. Let's be honest, Dave. Fulmer wanted somebody where if they got the credit, he would get the credit. And I think
you would by elevating an assistant, right?
Oh yeah, you would, and because again, he could be the guy who said, "I found Jeremy Pruitt." I mean, I remember when Fulmer started interviewing the candidates he was interviewing Les Miles and Mel Tucker. And I mean,
I would have been on board with Mel Tucker at the time, actually.
Oh, I would have been on board with Mel Tucker too. It's just funny how that worked out, but he ended up landing Jeremy Pruitt. Now, look, the way it worked out. Is Tennessee in a better... Now, the question is, forget what they would have done on the field. Mike Gundy, Kevin Sumlin, you name it. Is Tennessee better off now, right now, in this moment, than they would have been had they hired Mike Gundy or Kevin Sumlin back in 2017?
Well, let me address that, and I might write a column on that. First, I'll remind you that you need to check out the Hemp House, the premier hemp dispensary online with a wide variety, great selection, and strict standards to ensure you only receive the best in CBD or Delta products. Hemp House Chat with 2 T's, hemphousechat.com. Use the promo code HOOK to get 10% off. Support our sponsors. That's why we're here. I think because his buffoonery and the way he cheated and the fact that Tennessee didn't have to make a buyout payment every month for the next 30 years, the fact that he was a good talent evaluator and he got talent into Tennessee, some of which helped Tennessee get to 10 wins last year and be a college football playoff participant or contender, I should say, until the very end. I don't think any of those guys would have left Tennessee in a better position in 2022 than Jeremy Pruitt would have. How bizarro is that?
It's incredibly bizarre. So one of the things we do as history, for those who know, I am a history major. We study, we debate the concept of accelerationist policies, which I don't know if you know what that means, Dave, but it's the idea that it's a theory that some things in history that were really, really bad, it was good that they were really, really bad. What was it good that they were so bad because of what came out of it? So like the most obvious example is like the Civil War was really, really bad. 600,000 people died, but slavery ended because the Civil War happened. So it's what, you know what I mean? And it's kind of like, or the Great Depression was bad. A lot of economic issues, but there were a lot of reforms that came out of the Depression that made sure we never had another Depression. And it's like, okay, but was the Depression itself worth the cost? Was it worth the cost of the Depression for that to happen? And
are we comparing Jeremy Pruitt's tenure at Tennessee to the Great Depression and slavery? Is that what we're doing?
No, what I'm saying is, okay,
or the Civil War. I guess I should say.
Yeah,
excuse me.
Yeah, it would be the Civil War. Do you believe in accelerationism, which is sometimes things can get so bad that they actually make things good later?
I think it happened with Tennessee. Now, to argue against myself, they have the Spire Group either way, right? So the Spire Group is going to help whatever coach comes in 2021.
But would they have managed it as well?
Fair point.
Because honestly, let's be honest, the best part about this was the Schiano disaster made them finally cut ties with Jimmy Haslam. Then after the Fulmer thing, they forced Fulmer out and they go, okay, we're going for a national search on an AD, and we're not going to let the Haslams run it. And they found the best AD they have found in a long time.